All right, let's see this. This looks interesting. Florida schools to teach the personal benefit of slavery. That's terrible. What is happening? Bro, this is why we're not moving to Florida, bro. What a state, man. They're really spiraling out of control. They're investigating teachers playing Disney movies because a character is gay. They're apparently teaching kids that black people benefited from slavery. Oh my god. It's almost like they're just watching Just Pearly Things podcast and like this is facts. Let's do this. This is incredible. Let's go.
Florida schools must now teach students about the, quote, benefit of slavery when teaching black history. The controversial new education standard passed by the State Board of Education earlier this week. Now, this follows Governor DeSantis' so-called Stop Woke Act, which forced the rewriting of education standards.
Is racism based? Is that what's happening here? Hey, what's up, Agrello?
There in Florida. A controversial part of these new standards is instruction for middle school students to learn, quote, how slaves develop skills, which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit.
Wow. I don't know what to say. I feel like we're just going down a rabbit hole. We're just going in. I wonder if Matt Walsh was like, yes, exactly. This is what I've been saying. Black people needed to learn that it was a pretty poggers thing that they were enslaved. I want to look through it and see. I wouldn't be surprised. Does he have something about it? I guess he doesn't. Wow, I'm surprised. Wow, it's a lot about music though, violent music and stuff. Okay, wow, I'm surprised. Listen, I don't know what skills you could develop by being a slave as a personal benefit. I would argue that any potential, I hesitate to use the word benefit from being enslaved, is probably offset by the fact that you were enslaved. Hey, here, we're going to force you to eat poorly, work for free. We're going to abuse you when you don't follow our rules. We're not going to treat you like a human being. But you're gonna get a good back workout. It's good cardio. It's a good cardio workout. Introducing my new routine, Slave for a Day. It's like P90 workout, but extreme as fuck. It's weird. Yes, slavery being bad is now a woke take. I think we've gone backwards in a rush. In this desperate rush to be anti-woke, we've decided that we're going to have the conversation about the positive aspects of slavery. It's like when Matt Walsh was like, yeah, but black people over here are doing better than a lot of black people in other countries. Maybe. We also colonized the fuck out of those countries too. So, we're kind of, listen, I don't think it's a race thing. I don't think it started out as a race thing. I think everybody was engaging in the same bad behavior, slavery and otherwise, for a long time. And now we are understanding that slavery and colonization is bad, but we're not giving it up in a lot of different ways. We still do slavery. People who go to jail, they're working for pennies on the dollar just so that the government can sell their labor to businesses that can make products cheaper and then take away jobs from other Americans, right? We still have sex trafficking is still a big issue, but I guess we need to defend how. So, hey, what's the next thing they're going to say? How actually enslaving children for sex work is kind of based. Florida teaches you this. Like, what do they? They get to learn skills. Like, replace black people with children and then try. Like, you know what I mean? Because I think that the problem is that I guess conservatives they don't care about black people anymore. Not that they ever did. Same thing with Democrats. Let's be real. But let's say it's something that you care about, like kids. Imagine how child slaves developed skills, which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. It sounds pretty bad now. Oh shit! No, this is what you have to do. How NASCAR slaves developed skills, which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. It's incredible stuff, right? Think about that. How country music slaves developed. I don't know. How about my 4x4, my Ford truck, my Jeep Grand Cherokee. This is just fucking crazy.
The largest teachers union in the state has spoken out against the new standards, calling them, quote, a step backward, adding that students deserve the full truth of American history. For more on this, we are joined by Andrew Atterbury. He is an education policy reporter for Politico based in Florida. Andrew, implying that enslaved people benefited from their bondage has...
Why are you saying it's a Hassan level take? If that was a Hassan level take, then I guess Hassan is right, because it's fucking insane what they're talking about.
Understandably upset many people. How are folks in Florida responding to this?
Sure. Hey, thanks for having me. Glad to be here from Tallahassee. So that they came out on Wednesday at this meeting, and this is really the first time that people got a glimpse of what these standards look like. And it was a firestorm for the Florida Department of Education and the Board of Education. People that were there weren't too thrilled with these lessons, but the state, they were proud to roll these out. This is something they've been working on for a while. Like you said, they come from the Stop Woke Act. That was something that specifically Governor Ron DeSantis requested last year. The woke part is actually an acronym. It means the Wrongs to Our Kids and Employees Act. That was
that's actually WOCA. Maybe it's as good as POCA. This is the problem, is we've gone into this like super hyperbolic space where in order to be against something, you have to like oppose it. I know that sounds stupid the way I'm saying it, but we no longer live in a period of time where you look at a thing and go, that's bad, let's not do that. We now live in a period of time where it's like, that's bad, let's do the opposite of that. So now, critical race theory is a conversation. I've never seen anybody really, explain critical race theory. Here's the thing. Kids should learn about systemic racism because we need to learn about it from a historical perspective. Absolutely. I think it's a good idea as long as it doesn't go towards like victimization of individuals, because I think that is not a good idea. That's all I'd say. Boom. That's normal, right? But now, because they don't like systemic racism, because I guess maybe sometimes it's implemented incorrectly, I guess, and maybe teaches a victim complex, we've decided that we're going to teach the benefits of slavery. Oh my God. It's just fucking crazy. I just don't understand.
was something that was one of his biggest parts of his agenda back last year. And that what the law actually does, it creates new protections for students and even workers is a whole other part of it. I
have a chatter that's getting really upset. They feel like my take's not nuanced enough about this, about Florida's apprehensible bill to introduce the benefits of slavery. What do you feel like is since you're so upset with what I'm saying, what do you think? What's your counter to what I'm saying, other than crying about what I'm saying? Like, what do you think? What do you think it's good that we're introducing the benefits of slavery? Because if you feel that way, why don't you just explain it to me? Like, I don't understand. You're so upset. You keep saying Hassan like it's like it's a buzzword, like it's a virtue signal to everybody who doesn't like Hassan that I have a take that would be considered a Hassan level take. It's a weird virtue signal to just you figured out when Hassan Piker isn't relevant in this conversation to virtue signal about it. So
a person shouldn't be instructed to feel guilt, anguish, or any form of psychological distress due to their race, color, sex, or national origin.
I believe.
So because of that new law, they decided that they needed to change all of these the standards too. So they actually created a whole new carve out on Black history, which is why they were so proud of it. It was something that they thought went even deeper than their previous lessons. But whenever these were rolled out and you saw some of the framing of it, some people really took issue with it.
Andrew, I should say that we reached out to the governor's office and they pointed us to a statement that was shared by the Board of Education. It reads in part, quote, Florida students deserve to learn how slaves took advantage of whatever circumstances they were in to benefit themselves and the community of African descendants.
There's no way. I don't think that they actually believe this, because like you could interpret this two ways. You could interpret this as just a bullshit justification, or unless they're going to have a deep conversation about historical trauma. Because that's what I mean. Like, if you want to like liberal that up a little bit, like, yeah, that sounds like you're talking about historical trauma. But I just don't think that the hyper conservative Florida state, governor is like, yeah, let's talk about historical trauma and how generationally that can be passed down with some teachings that, people may have learned from like years. Like right now, one of the reasons why people don't like cops is because cops used to fuck with Black people a lot more, 100 years ago. And you're going to continuously teach your kids to not trust cops. So that would be considered like a historical trauma, right? But that, I mean, I guess there's also like another
Jesus Christ super chatted $5. Papa, have you seen the image of Ron DeSantis over the black sun that was retweeted by his campaign?
No.
At this point, I would vote for Trump over DeSantis.
Is the black sun like some kind of a racist thing to like Japanese people or something? I think I'm a little wrong about that, but because there's two aspects to trauma. There can be, you know, you go through a traumatic experience and you're obviously going to develop like negative attributes in your mind. And then there's sometimes like a massive cope where you go through a trauma and some people, I don't want to use the word they're better off, because they're not better off, but they almost like their brain looks at the situation in a way to almost like avoid the trauma. I forget what it's called. I'm very new to the concept, so I don't know how to say it. So I'm very new. I think it's called positive trauma. It's like a very new thing to me. So like, don't shit your pants and come. All right. Positive trauma positive things can overwhelm an individual in different ways. Take example, winning the lottery. Oh no, that's not what positive trauma is. Post-traumatic growth is a positive change you can experience as a result of your struggle with like something like that. It's bizarre, right? So I guess that's what they'd be talking about, the skills. Oh, yeah, post-traumatic growth. I'm very new to it. I'm very ignorant with it. But I know that they're not teaching some kind of a post-traumatic growth type of a thing. Because you can't teach a positive trauma response by ignoring the negative trauma response. And considering conservatives are shitting their pants about systemic racism, which would be a very big conversation about the negative trauma response, they don't give a fuck about that. I feel like this is just them trying to justify this bullshit. So...
How does this differ from what has been taught in the state in the past?
Well, when you look at the lessons, they really didn't have any specific carve-outs for...
Oh, the black sun is a German racist thing. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of Bella, whatever her name is, Bella Porch's tattoo that was like some kind of like anti-Japanese or something. I'm all over the place, bro. I think the black sun apparently is something from Nazi Germany. The theory is, for this example, if you have a near-death experience, instead of moving forward in fear, it makes you live life to the fullest. Okay, that makes sense. I doubt that they're having that nuanced conversation. So...
Black history. So this is all, for a lot of this stuff is new things that they're introducing, which is why the state thinks this is good for them. We're going, hey, we're actually going deeper into some of this stuff.
I'm thinking of the red sun. All right. Well, hey, listen, black, red, what's the difference? Am I right?
But when you look at, like you said, the way that some of these were worded,
I don't see color, bro. I'm not racist. Okay.
Like the benefits of it. People said that was just absolutely not okay. I mean, you saw this getting issue. Like people were raising, like civil rights lawyer Benjamin Crump was talking about this. So this was getting a lot more attention than just Florida, which is probably not something that people expected, just from the way that it was rolled out. And as you and the statement that you mentioned earlier, the state is also taking aim at the teachers union, saying that a lot of this is their fault and that they're blowing up an issue that the state thinks really isn't a big deal.
Well, good for the teachers to go, guys, this is my profession. Maybe listen to us. It always blows my mind, because here's the thing. Absolutely, it's good to get an outside perspective, and you always should, because some people can get like generally complacent, right? But for the most part, the person doing the job is probably better at the job than the other people, especially since it's the state versus the teachers. It's not like it's the principals who used to be teachers in opposition to the teachers. It's the state, a bunch of people who aren't and probably never were teachers, going, let's tell people how to teach, without any teacher references, and the teacher's like, this is fucking dumb as shit.
And this is something that you see a lot in Florida. DeSantis administration, the Department of Education, they're constantly at odds with the teachers union. This is things that go back to...
Bro, why are you still in here coping about Hassan? Why are you in here? You're a weird person. Why do you come into streams and then cry? Like, why are you in defense of a conversation about slavery benefiting black people? I don't get it. I don't get it. This guy's you're a weird person. like you came into somebody's chat who's progressive, obviously. So I talk about progressive things. And you're like, why is this guy talking about? Why are you here, bro? That's like if you're watching like a fucking WoW streamer. And you're like, I fucking hate World of Warcraft. What are you talking about? Like, what the fuck?
Due to the COVID pandemic. teacher pay. I mean, that's pretty typical for Florida, but there were other organizations as well. There were state lawmakers, there were Democratic lawmakers who raised issues with this. The NAACP was there. I mean, so there were several other groups too. So it's not just teachers unions, but that's kind of what the state is doing a little bit, is needling the union, saying y'all kind of sparked a lot of these concerns.
Well, I'm sure that there's also parents who are concerned about this, and I'm wondering where we go from here. The Board of Education made up entirely of DeSantis appointees. So what recourse do parents have if they disagree?
None.
Well, now this really falls on school districts to carry this out, and then we'll go through picking textbooks and things like that. But as far as the state goes, I mean, these are the standards now. These were unanimously passed by the Board of Education, and the Board of Education stood by these too. You know, they said the whole history is there. They said that they stood by these, and that they kind of downplayed the complaints as saying, you know, that we think this is great, and people are just missing the point, basically. So from the state's perspective, this is pretty much done, which is why you see them defending it today, and they doubled down on it again today, saying that this is what we're going to go with. And you still, like, even speaking to some of the concerns, I mean, Vice President Kamala Harris spoke out about it. She's supposed to speak in Jacksonville today. So this is getting a lot more attention than I think folks really expected it to.
All right. Andrew Atterbury, thank you.
Well, it's good it's getting attention. All right, cool.